Alright. I don't know if I hinted at this or I just thought it in my head and thought I talked about it. But I'm going to start going over the modules that I use, why I use them, and what I change. So let's do one that I've actually finished with, and it's huge. So we're just going to go over the sections individually, one at a time. And I don't know if I'll make this OSR musings or make something up. Might just call it dungeons. Semicolon. Insert name. Whatever. But Stonehell. I like it. It's a one-page dungeon design and it is huge. And it has so much you can tinker with. There's even a couple extra add-ons that get you the feel of adding your own sublevels to this. It's made to add sublevels on. Places the characters have already explored, you can go back and have them find information that leads them back, or treasure maps. I always recommend making your treasure maps up ahead of time, by the way. Okay, make your treasure maps up ahead of time, and then have a folder you can just pull it out of in case you roll one randomly, or when as treasure maps are revealed, you can go, well, let's make this not so easy. Don't make everything so easy. You want them to go back up to the surface for reasons. But yeah. So I forget the name of it, but it had in it the nest of Otrog, a spaceship tower, and the bandit lair. The bandit lair and the nest of Otrog, I think, are must bolt-ons. If you have other one-page dungeon stuff that you like, bolt it on. If you have a favorite, bolt it on. You're familiar with running it anyway. Something you can run on the fly, and you're going to need to give them a little extra unless you're sprinkling extra coinage or stuff in the first 3 levels, because Stonehell is a little stingy on the coinage and treasure on the first couple levels. So, and that makes sense. Those are the levels that have been picked over the most and has the weakest creatures and such, so it should be a little picked over and stuff. But aside from having it rain from the sky free in their pockets, which I don't recommend, add in a sublevel or a couple of treasure maps that they can find and dig up, or another adventuring group laden with treasure. Find out if your dudes are truly murder hobos. You see this wounded group of adventurers. What? They're carrying heavy laden sacks full of gold and silver, because you hear them talking about it. What do you do? I have some players who would flat murder those guys in a heartbeat. Give me the treasure, or turn bandit. Shake me down. I'll give you a healing spell if you give me that sack. Otherwise, I don't think you're gonna make it home. They justify their banditry. But the first level, the surface level map, is 2 sections. This can be a single session or dragged out. I've had people drag this out, and it is the least amount of treasure, the least amount of XP, and it is obviously inspired by the Caves of Chaos. You have a ruined gatehouse. You can get that moat house feel. It's got goblins in it, no big deal, and some environmental traps and environmental hazards. There's graffiti on the outside you can go crazy with. They give you a little chart. It's nowhere big enough, dude. Find you a graffiti, a huge graffiti chart, or make your own, or put your own warnings in there. Mess with your players. Find out their phobias and manipulate them into creating terror at your table. So it introduces a few areas here, and then the main entrance. And the main entrance, I do like a few unique magic items that hint at stuff. an undead area that you can't kill the undead unless you drag them out into the sunlight. Now I added a sublevel there, a one-page dungeon, a little tomb, and I hit a little tomb in there. Don't be afraid to add on stuff to this as you're going along. Now, if you're one of these people who have to plan everything out, every encounter out, good luck. It doesn't have a huge amount of descriptions. I like that because the energy of the players helps me riff off their enthusiasm or lack of and make stuff up as I go. And I do love the rhyme. Beware all who enter these benighted halls of stone. Within lies no solace, nor any comforts of home. Toiling for our crimes, we must dig where we dwell, with no freedom or mercy in our vast stony hell. I dig it. Play with it. This used to be a prison, and all the terrible things that happen in a prison happened there. There's also some oddball stuff you can get bonuses for if they get friendly with a big old bear and stuff like that. But the upper level is just a primer. This is your intro level dungeon for novice players where they can get injured but not necessarily killed unless they cross that mountain line. There's a mountain line, and a mountain line is a first level party killer. Alright? It'll wipe your party if they're cocky and think, we'll just kill the cat. Gets 3 attacks around, it's going to eat somebody. That's how it's going to go. But and they introduced the phantasm, which is an undead that doesn't do anything. It's one of those ghosts that's locked in a repetitive action, and you can't get rid of it until you have a 6th level cleric where you bury the bones. There's a unique magic item up here, the Chill Guard Paracel. I always change it. I don't like the idea of something you got to pull the Paracel out to get the cold resistance effect, so I always turn it into robes or something. And robes or a cape or a cloak, but you make it shiny and scintillate like the description for the Paracel. And I think players kind of prefer that over the silliness of the Paracel. Now there's lots of silly in this module. There's lots of silly. So some of the things I've done to this section here to change it up is I insert that nest of Otrog in the wolf layer. So that leads to, and it goes up to the bandit layer. The bandit layer is a pushover. I've yet to have any party really have a problem rolling those bandits. And no matter how I've played them up for being bandits on the road, they've always gotten rolled. Zero level. And the caves there were also where the old jailers used to stay, so there's some unexplored sections and some nastiness. You can play it up if you want. With the nest of Otrog, if someone's got a problem with bugs, this will drive them crazy. And if first level characters dive right into this, they will die. If they got a couple second level guys, they'll be fine because it has unique monsters. And one room's got 20 Armada mushrooms, and they'll trample you if you're first level. For your first level, I don't think you have much of a choice. They're going to die. But it does have some interesting, unique magic items in it that could really change how your characters run their stuff. Magic item wise, it's not super overloaded, but the Bale Snail and the Armada mushrooms for a low level party, they'll just the Armada mushrooms will overwhelm them, and the Bale Snail will flat whoop them. It's just going to be a beatdown if they try to fight it. Now there are some unique magic items and that are cool, and the Death Grip builds are mean too. And the big ones will. I don't think this is made for first level guys, but it is easy for a first level group to find their way down in there and get absolutely wrecked. And then they may never go back down there because it's all bugs, and it's kind of creepy. So play that up. Play up the fact that the place is crawling with worms and bugs, like it's an undulating carpet the entire time. I played it up to where it was as thick as up to your ankle for all characters, and I had one player who started getting physically freaked out. Found out they had a phobia about spiders and stuff. They're like, I can't. Quit describing it that way. I'm like, well, that's the thing. Your character has the same phobia, they need to fall back. You know, I don't know. Take advantage of it, twist it. Some people will say that's sadistic, but hey, if you want to create that feeling of fear, that's one way to do it. But this sub-level is in an area where you're going to have first level characters. Some of the creatures are 4+4 hit dice with multiple attacks, and they will absolutely rock your party. Unless you got a huge party. Depends how you roll, you know. And the Brigand Caves, like I said, that's all part of that surface level. The Brigand Caves could be multiple adventure stuff. There's some mundane equipment. It's a good way to sprinkle in seized mundane items from the bandits, getting from merchants and other adventurers that your party could use. It's a way to sprinkle it in if they couldn't afford it at first level. If you're doing that, I know some people are like, just give them everything you want at first level. Not me. Keep them hungry. They got to have a reason to go into that dungeon, and first through third is mainly just getting equipped with regular gear, not worrying about going hungry as an adventurer. That's how I do it. I've had different levels of success with Stonehill. No one's really made it to the 7th level or lower, ever. And I've run this off and on for years. Usually parties will TPK, or they'll fall apart. And I've had characters get up to 7th level cleric in here. So I've had multiple 7th level characters, but they never gotten past 5th level consistently. 5th to 7th is that level range. They can't get down to it. They found some direct ways down to like 7, and that campaign ended. 5th level on is usually the most before a party wipes from their own hubris or stupidity, or a combination of both. But I've had fun with it. Now the upper level, like I said, hardly any treasure. It is more about setting up a forward base camp and getting creative with the ruins up top, in my opinion. So most people were going to run out the bandits and then set up there, because you have a chain that you can go down to the first level without going down the stairs physically. I've had players talk about how they've turned the gatehouse into a casino or an inn and charge other players to get in there. And I was just doing the math on that. I'm like, well, you're going to have to get a lot richer because you're not able to hold it. They think they clear it and it doesn't restock. I use dungeon restock. If you let that thing set for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something's moving in. That's the whole point of the dungeon. It calls out to stuff to bring it there, to feed off its misery and feed off the anger, pain, and fear that they instill in other people, other creatures. That's the big secret at the end of Stonehill. There's something feeding off all that emotion, all that misery, and it was a huge thought experiment built into a dungeon originally, and you can see how that would create that situation. But I just go over that real quick on the surface level. Throw in some sub-levels. Throw in, if you think the party needs a little boost on treasure, throw it in there. I really expanded. There's this one part where there's a bunch of hornets over a bag of tools, and I made that bag of tools versatile enough for overcoming stuff that you didn't have a thief for, right? So it has awls, saws, chisels, and stuff. It's regular tools. I made it heavy, and they could use it to saw bars and stuff. Have a metal saw and stuff in there. And that was probably one of their most prized possessions for the longest time, because it was so versatile. Sprinkle that stuff in. Make these, and I've had characters hide stuff in that top level you could turn any of those little small dungeons in that valley into your base camp, and the only creatures you're going to have to deal with consistently are regular predatory animals and the kobolds. The kobolds are cowards. So once you bully them into submission, you don't have to really worry about it too much. So that's about all I got to say about the first top part of Stonehell. The gates of, they call it the gates of hell. It's a little theatrical. I dig it. But the canyon is basically a very basic homage to the Caves of Chaos, and you as a DM should flush it out, add extra stuff in. That's what I recommend. There's some illusionary stuff, there's hidden treasure, add some more. There's a hidden death trap dungeon for some characters. So, yeah, have fun with it. That's what I do.